The F-35 continues to make headlines for its delays, budget overruns, and accidents. As the only 5th-generation fighter currently available to Western countries, several have already committed to purchasing it. Germany, a key member of the Eurofighter project, has chosen to acquire 35 F-35s instead of the European aircraft. Faced with this, Spain is not quite sure what to do, but the problem it faces is tremendous. In this video, I tell you the reasons why Spain would or would not want to buy this pot. We must understand that in this world, any million-dollar purchase by a governmental entity will be tremendously affected by geopolitical decisions, even more than by the product quality being bought. This means that a country will not choose the best combat aircraft on the market, but perhaps the second or third. Better yet, in order to do a favor to an allied country that manufactures it. Or even worse, if a country manufactures a plane, it will be practically forced to buy it to save its own economy, even if it's not the top plane available. Today, entering the year 2023, Spain faces a big dilemma that has its own name, and it's called F-35. Can it be broken down into two? The Air and Space Army and the Navy face dilemmas. Let's begin with the Air Army. Spain currently operates 85 F-18s and 70 Eurofighters. The F-18s are divided between the bases in Torrejón, Zaragoza, and Gran Canaria, while the Eurofighters are split between the bases in Albacete and Morón. The problem is that the F-18s are already very old. The Gran Canaria planes were purchased used from the United States Navy in the late 1990s, and their useful life ends in the year 2023, the same year this video is being published. The rest of the F-18s are estimated to start retiring in the year 2025, although they can probably be extended a few more years. This is when the question arises, what aircraft are going to be replaced? There has been a lot of debate about this, and there surely will continue to be. But the two main options that are being considered are the Eurofighter and the F-35A. This is the version of the F-35 designed for the Air Forces. The main differences between the three versions are that in the B version, a huge fan is added in the center of the fuselage to be able to take off and land vertically and remain stationary while flying. And the 100 version adds larger wings that can be folded to take off from aircraft carriers with catapults. The increase in wing size. The 100 mode of the F-35 is to be able to fly at a lower speed and thus be able to take off and land from aircraft carriers. But to everyone's surprise, June 23, 2022, the Spanish government signed an agreement to purchase 20 Eurofighters that will replace the F-18s located in Gran Canaria. The issue is that the new aircraft will arrive by 2026, but the F-18s from Gran Canaria are set to retire in 2023. At first glance, there would be a period when Spain would lack fighter aircraft in Gran Canaria. The possibility of deploying F-18s from other Spanish bases to Gran Canaria is being considered until they enter service. The 20 new Eurofighters. Okay, but then, if Eurofighters are already being purchased to replace the old F-18s, where is the dilemma with the F-35? Well, it's because the Spanish Air Force has gotten used to using two fighter aircraft. The F-18 is focused on ground attack, while the Eurofighter is designed for air superiority. But it's true that both the F-18 and the Eurofighter, in the end, can carry out both tasks. And in case they wanted to continue with that philosophy, couldn't all the F-18s be replaced by Eurofighters? And this is where the F-35A comes in? As we've come this far in the video, let me reiterate the main point. I remind you that the decision to purchase an airplane is often influenced by many interests, rather than simply thinking about the best airplane for an army. Spain is one of the members of Airbus Defence and Space, which is the company that manufactures the Eurofighter. Thousands of people work daily in Spain on issues directly related to the Eurofighter. Therefore, buying this fighter would mean direct support for your economy, and the same would happen but on a European scale. You would be investing in the European project and the partners would be happy, which would promote good treatment among them. It is true that buying a single model of airplane for an air force would greatly reduce logistical costs, because the parts of all the planes would be the same, the mechanics would be the same, etc. This is the reason why low-cost airlines operate exclusively one model of aircraft. The clear example here is Ryanair, which only operates Boeing 737. But in case an army did this, the problem would arise that you depend on a model of plane and the company that manufactures it, in case Spain replaced all its F-18s with Eurofighters. If a problem arose and all the planes had to be grounded, Spain would be left without fighter planes for a period of time, and the same would happen if Airbus, for example, went bankrupt. Currently, the tension between Morocco and Spain could be said to be considerable. In recent years, Morocco has been claiming both the cities of Ceuta and Melilla and even the Canary Islands as national territory. For this reason, Spain must maintain a strong defense policy to deter any possible idea of conflict from the neighboring country. Currently, many people criticize that defense spending is not a priority. But now that we have the recent war in Ukraine, there is a chilling fact. In 2022, it is predicted that Ukraine's economy will plummet by around 40%, and the latest estimates of the money that will be needed to repair the damages are $350 billion. And this without counting the human losses. Considering that Ukraine's gross domestic product before the war was $200 billion, and knowing that they were investing 4% in military spending. The repair of the expenses caused by the invasion would have cost them the equivalent of 45 years investing in defense. And all because their military force was not able to deter Russia to prevent the invasion. That's why it's tremendously important to invest in defense, not to defend yourself, but to avoid having to defend yourself. The West's long period of peace is due to the absence of enemies bold enough to attack. Decades of peace don't guarantee a peaceful future. This point is hard to understand for young people who have only lived in a period of peace, and that's why it's necessary for that message to resonate with the population. Obviously, we're not going to go crazy and buy tanks and fighters non-stop, but what a country needs is to find a balance. And it's roughly estimated that it's about 2% of the gross domestic product. In recent years, Spain and many European countries have invested far less than 2% in defense. And it seems that with the invasion of Ukraine, they have seen that they have relaxed a lot. The hard thing to believe is that these things have to happen for a responsible government of a nation to understand the importance of investing in defense. The F-35 purchase to replace Torrejon and Zaragoza's F-18S would let Spain maintain its two-fighter aircraft philosophy. In addition, it would give them the ability to have a stealth aircraft, known in English as stealth. This is practically necessary today when almost all serious military forces have aircraft with this capability. It would also allow Spain to reinforce ties with the United States, which is crucial in geopolitics, especially since Morocco is also a strong United States ally. But by purchasing the F-35, would you be marginalizing the European project in which you are involved? And you would be giving jobs to people in the United States and not in Spain, when currently things from an economic point of view are not going well. A bit more from the technical side, it's true that the Eurofighter is probably more maneuverable than the F-35, and in a close dogfight it might beat it. But that's no longer the priority in a fighter plane. Stealth capability, which allows the plane to approach the enemy undetected, is much more important. But in reality, only someone who knows the technical details of both aircraft in detail will know which one is really better. This video doesn't express opinions, but it's important to remember that price is also a key factor to consider. Let's do a little comparison. The price of a Eurofighter is estimated at about $110 million each, and its flight hour at about $20,000. The F-35, however, costs $80 million each, but its flight hour about $42,000. Although this last part about the F-35 is tricky because it's true that each plane costs more or less about $80 million, but that's the basic plane. To this, you have to add the costs for any extra systems that are required. The good thing about these modern planes is not the plane itself, but its systems, so you're practically obliged to buy them. You should also pay for the aircraft documentation, for the pilot training, for the maintenance staff training, etc. Adding all this to the basic plane cost, the prices escalate a lot. For example, Germany just bought 35 F-35s and paid $8 billion for them, which comes out to a total of about $220 million for each unit compared to the $80 million that each plane theoretically costs. For example, that wouldn't happen to Spain with the Eurofighter, as it's a plane that's already in operation in the Air Force. Spain is also a member of the program. Knowing all this, it's crucial to understand that the F-35 would be more expensive, possibly fewer units would be bought, and yet the investment would still have to be greater. However, this gesture would be well received by the United States, who are trying to sell the F-35 as if there were no tomorrow. And would you enter the exclusive club of those who already have the F-35? It is gradually estimated that this club will expand and end up being practically all of the United States allies. But wouldn't this keep you militarily reliant on American companies rather than bolstering European industry? Apart from the fact that the F-35 is a plane that is causing a lot of problems, strange accidents, and excessive overruns. Again, I want to make it clear that I'm not supporting one option or the other, I'm just showing all the possible variables. In the coming years, a decision on one of these two aircraft will be made. In fact, it shouldn't take many years, and this decision will very likely be made based on geopolitical interests. Years later, in the 2040 decade, if successful, the EFCAS will be introduced. Check out the video on my secondary channel, linked at the end of this video. This aircraft will be jointly designed by France, Germany, and Spain, and aims to be a 6th-generation aircraft that replaces the Eurofighters. There are still many years to go for that, and the project is really just getting started. But the idea that many talk about is that currently with the fleet of F-18 and Eurofighters, the F-18 would be replaced by F-35. When the FCAS becomes operational, gradually replace the Eurofighters with the FCAS in a staggered manner. Having already talked about the Air Force and space, it's when we get to the Navy. And this is no longer a dilemma, but a real big problem. Very few countries currently have operational aircraft carriers. The United States, China, India, France, and Russia use conventional carriers. Alternatively, Italy, the United Kingdom, Spain, and Japan operate vertical takeoff and landing aircraft carriers. Japan's carriers are not yet in service, but will be next year, so they are included here. As demonstrated in this channel's video series, aircraft carriers are a highly powerful military asset. They can contribute to a country's international relevance and its ability to project air and military power over great distances. In addition, it should be noted that an aircraft carrier is a brutal deterrent weapon because it sends a clear message to potential enemies. I can respond to an attack no matter the distance. Spain's sole aircraft carrier, the Juan Carlos III, requires vertical takeoff and landing aircraft due to its size. There is no other option. It currently operates 12 AV-8B Harriers, but the lifespan of these ends at the latest in the year 2030, and after that, if EFE-35Bs for vertical takeoff and landing are not purchased, Spain will be left without the ability to deploy planes on its aircraft carriers, and will simply be able to deploy helicopters. In case this happens, the ability to deploy air power at great distances would be completely lost, since helicopters are mostly used for troop deployment, but under no circumstances for medium or long-distance air combat. So you would have an aircraft carrier without planes Italy, Great Britain, the United States, and Japan, which are the other countries with this style of aircraft carrier. Are they all going to operate the F-35? Japan is preparing to operate them in 2024, and Great Britain is already doing so. And the United States and Italy are going to stop operating the Harrier in the year 2024, and they will replace it with the F-35B, which means that from 2024 to 2030, Spain is going to be the only country in the world operating the Harriers. But after the year 2030, what? Spain's aircraft carrier, the Juan Carlos III, was commissioned into the Navy in 2010, and has been in service for around 12 years. Considering that the useful life will be more than 30 years, would it be absurd to have an aircraft carrier without planes for more than a decade? Comparing the Navy's situation with the Army and Air Force, it is clear that Spain has no choice but to acquire the F-35B. Failing to do so would result in Spain's humiliation on the world stage, because it would enter the club of those who have aircraft carriers without planes. For some time now, I've been working to create designs of remove before flights, of epic aircraft, and after weeks of designing them, I can bring you these 4 designs that I will be selling in the next few weeks on this Instagram account that I have explicitly created for this purpose. Early buyers will enter a draw for the future, details on the Instagram account. For those interested in collaborating with this channel, this is undoubtedly the way to do it. You can start this epic Remove Before Flights collection with me. All the information is on my Instagram account, link in the description. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you in the next one.